we've talked about earlier about crime and what a role it plays, and having people that want to move here, buy homes, start businesses, want to bring employees, grow their business here, and just general quality of life for the people who live here. And so crime is always one of the top 2 or 3 issues that we hear about from the citizens. If you look back 4 or 5 years ago, you had some pretty bad things going on downtown. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize how much better it's gotten. We were fortunate enough to go to some folks on council then went to Raleigh. We kind of put a hold on the number of bars, try to limit that growth and get a handle on it. Also worked with the ABC board to get a couple of real bad offenders, the bad seeds, those bars closed down. We put together a joint task force between the county and the city working together, which didn't always used to happen. I'd say the city and county relations from a council to county commissioner standpoint is as good as it's been in my memory. So working together is a big part of it. We did that downtown with that task force, the sheriff, police. We have a mix of officers down there, and we work that as a true community policing. There's people on foot, on bicycle, occasionally on horseback, and you get to know who should be where and who shouldn't, who owns what restaurant, who owns what retail store, where they office, and you develop that everybody kind of helping the police look out and that neighborhood approach. We also, with the county, we've done a joint task force in the public housing developments. Has been very successful. Same there. The same people, and you see them over and over again, and they know whose son is who and whose daughter is who, and whether they should be there or shouldn't be. Cuts down on crime, builds trust between the police officers and the residents. Then when you step out from that, we had a very tough summer about 2+ years ago with youth violence, some gang-related stuff, and it caught some of us a little bit by surprise. But I thought the reaction and the way the city, the council and the city manager handled it was exemplary. I mean, we reached out. We had lots of community input, whether it be downtown. We had meetings at UNCW, at the King Center, and just tried to gather. What can we do to negate this, to impact it? And to that end, the police chief requested a mobile field force. It was his term, but basically, 16 officers, 8 of them would be in the plainclothes variety, out in pickup trucks that have been taken from drug dealers, and going that route. And the other half is whenever we need a real show of force, where just get in an area and just stay there and really let people know this is going to stop here right now. And that was one piece we gave to him, and I think it's worked well. He uses it as needed. We've got shot spotter in three places down in the kind of the old inside the 1945 city limits, and that allows us, we hear a shot, it triangulates, we can find it quickly, be there quicker than even the phone call that would call to tell us about it. This year we added detectives. I think if you asked the DA, he would tell you it was badly needed. It's just one of those things where we'd grown and the caseload had grown and we hadn't added people. So that was something we found room for in the budget this year. But expanding upon, I discussed community policing earlier, and that would be a huge priority for me in the coming 4 years, is to expand that. And I know that the chief already has a plan to do it in what he calls District 5, which is essentially the Target, Walmart, UNCW area. There's a lot of hotels in that area. We get a lot of calls in that area. It's our biggest. We get more calls in that area than any other district of the town. And he has a plan there. It won't look like downtown. There won't be as many people on foot or bicycle. But when you have the same police officers in an area, just like I discussed earlier, you start to get to know everybody. Everybody feels that there's a trust level. They'll call you, tips, etc. come a lot easier. Then I know he has phase 2, which is south side, or essentially the Greenfield, the area from when you come across the bridge or get ready to go across the bridge from Wooster and that area down to Greenfield Lake and around Houston Moore. So I'd like to see I like a balanced approach. Anytime there's, we have some organic growth in revenue, but sometimes there's, I think that from what I hear from when I'm out and about and talking to our citizens, they ask me, if it works, I don't care if it costs a little money, because this is so important to them, the crime issue. So I'd like to tip the scales a little bit from that balanced approach of spreading any revenue growth across all departments, and really focus on crime and working on that community policing piece of the puzzle that the chief believes in and I believe in. As a council and as a council member, I just don't think we can't wait around anymore on this one. It's a situation where I think if we start working, it's not cheap, but start working on each of these zones, we don't have police officers running from one end of the city to the other all the time. We really. And the key here is prevention, and also when something happens, having a public, believe it or not, they have shootings now in some parts of the city where 4 or 5 people see it and will not. They don't. There's no level of trust to tell, to give the tips needed to make the arrest. And that community policing piece is proven to help resolve that and get the information and make the arrest, and also the prevention piece. And so I just don't think we can wait any longer on it. It's just a top priority for me, and it should be for the next council.